Hi guys, this video is going to be about inking over Zenithal highlighting, and I'm using Plague Marines today, so enjoy. So I'll start this project the same way that I usually do. I prime in black and then Zenithal highlight. Here's a link to my how to Zenithal highlight. But I'll go to the gray here at about a 45-degree angle, and then you'll see I'll go to a white straight down over the top, and I'll make sure I highlight some of the areas where I put I want the brightness to shine through the most, around the face and some other highlights on the miniature. I'm always amazed about how much the detail really comes out on these miniatures. When you zenithal them, it really makes it a lot easier to paint, even if you end up covering everything up on the zenithal. So that's what it looks like to start. As I move over to the painting table, here are the inks that I used. I used one part of each of these inks, the black, green, and the yellow, and one drop of each of those, and then I put 2 drops of water in. I mixed it into this little mixing cup. You can put the tops on these, but I've noticed they still dry out, so this is more or less just something to use during the time. Give it a good stir with the brush. And it's as easy as that. Here's an example of one of them that I did. Just start liberally coating the mixture on top of it, and you'll see that your work from the zenithal really just pops out. If you notice, I'm taking care of where I'm putting the ink. Some of the things I don't want to be too dark. It's okay if it gets on it. I'll usually use an extra opaque paint and go right over the top of that if I need to, but you might save yourself a step if you're careful with where you put the wash on. And again, pretty liberal with it. The zenithal and the thinness of the ink will really have the areas popping out that you want, and I let the green kind of pool around the rivets and things that are in the armor. If you'll notice here on the back, or on the bottom part of the inside part of the calf, it was kind of dark, and that's exactly what you get when you get in there with the green, just a really darker version of whatever ink you're using. You can definitely see here, this just makes me look like I'm a fantastic painter very easily, by allowing that zenithal to pop the head out a little bit like that, and the transition is very smooth from the lighter areas of the model to the darker areas. I chose to just do one layer of this ink over this area. You could go for a much richer green if you want, but I really wanted the green areas to be light on the top, so it won't darken it too much if you kept going over it after it dried. Of course, let it dry. But it'll just look more saturated. You'll also want to use a more disposable, shall we say, brush, because wash brushes get pretty beat up pretty fast. I usually use the cheaper ones that I have, or after a while, if one of my good brushes wears out, I'll use it for this. It has to have somewhat of a little tip on it, but it doesn't have to be super fine because you're not doing any really tight details. Like I said before, it just pretty much lets you keep from touching some of the areas with the brush that you want to be a different color later. This Vallejo ink series dries extra matte, so that's another advantage to using these specific ones. I also used a different ink on a couple of other guys that I did. At some point you'll probably see them. The same models, but I went with more of a mustard color and gave them just a little bit different of a look. Here's a close-up of kind of in between there, and apologize for pulling that a little bit too far off camera, but this gives you a pretty good look at what the areas look like. Here you go, back to a better picture. So that's one of the models. You can see the ones in the background there. I generally did all of these, and here I am starting on another one. When I put the other details on this, you're going to really be able to see how good these end up looking, but this video is just about this super simple technique that'll give you some really good results really quickly. Saves a lot of time. For what it's worth, I did prime a few of these guys. I tried to use the Krylon type paint, but the Krylon paint, I didn't like the green that I ended up with. I much preferred this inked and zenithal look. When you got a lot of these guys to do, you want to take shortcuts, but I didn't want to give too much in the area of quality just to get these finished, because I do want them to look good. I like to play with models that look good, and I'm going to enjoy playing with these guys. As I finish up here, I want to take this time to thank you for watching this and for subscribing, and I hope you follow me. Gonna have a continued stream of videos coming out here, usually once every week or 2 weeks at the most. Things have slowed down a little bit more for me now, so I'm able to get a lot more of these out. But I hope there's something in this video that helps you, and I hope you try this. I'm going to show you a couple of these that I've finished completely. Special thanks to Daniele Dinaro for allowing me to use his music. I'll link that below. And thanks for watching.